Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. Welcome to this evening's meeting. You should have received a notification that this meeting is being recorded. We have a hybrid meeting this evening. So we have myself, Toastmaster Hyun Green, and Toastmaster Shay Greaves on site, and the rest of you are on Zoom. So we're going to have fun this evening and continue working on our hybrid model. If you'll all please put yourselves on mute for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. I would now like to hand the meeting over to our president, Toastmaster Shay Greaves.
Hello, everyone. Good to see your faces, and my first time being here in person. So good evening to Monday night Wellington Toastmasters meeting. Fellow Toastmasters and esteemed guests, I see there's no guest today. Our mission statement to our members and future members is to provide a supportive and positive learning environment which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence. It's a pleasure to have you all at our meeting and to keep our meeting flowing smoothly. I am going to go ahead and call on our Toastmaster of the day, Hyun Green.
Woohoo! Thank you. Thank you, Madam President, Toastmaster Shay. It's my great pleasure to be here and be able to lead a meeting. It's going to be fun. Someone else is trying to log in. No, I don't need to worry about this. Correct, Gary? Let's start with the invocation. Toastmaster Susanna, where are you? Are you still trying to log in? Okay. Then we will have Susanna on as soon as she's logged in. Let's start with our counter. We do not have our counter at the moment, so I will have to ask one of us, one of you, to be our counter. And we also need grammarian/word counter. Woodlin has signed up to be grammarian/word counter, but I don't see him yet. Sylvia, did I see your hand? Will you be the counter as well?
Yes.
Thank you very much. While we are going to wait for Susanna to settle down just a bit, can you please change your names? Well, add your roles next to your names, please. It will be much easier for especially table topics master to assign the question. Toastmaster Susanna, invocation, please.
Good evening, fellow Toastmaster. Give me 1 second, I'm just settling up. Yes, tonight's theme is best version of yourself. And I found this beautiful quote from Dave Willis, which aligns with that of how we can be better version of ourselves. One way that he described is show respect even to people who don't deserve it, not as a reflection of their character, but as a reflection of yourself. Thank you. Back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Toastmaster Susanna, can you repeat that again?
Sure. Show respect even to people who don't deserve it, not as a reflection of their character, but rather as a reflection of yours.
All right. Thank you very much. That's very profound. Thank you. Next, we are going to need our counter grammarian and word master. But let me ask Sonia Zahid, who is going to serve as our counter. Sonia, what is your role, please?
Thank you, Toastmaster Hyan Green. As an R counter, I'm sorry, I started with so as an R counter, this is what I will be looking forward to: count all the uhs, ums, double crutches, and double starts. And as a grammarian, I will note down any good use of grammar, any special vocabulary words, or any mispronunciation or anything if I catch that. Thank you, Toastmaster Hyan.
Thank you, Sonia. We don't need to have word master in light of our shortness in the resource. However, I do need grammarian.
I will also serve as grammarian.
All right, Shay, can you please tell us what we are going to listen for as grammarian?
Today, our word of the day is moxie.
Oh, we do have word of the day?
Yes, our word of the day will be moxie. It's another word for courage, strength of mind, carry on in spite of danger. It takes moxie to be your best self. As grammarian, I'm looking for eloquent word use. I'm supposed to be up there.
Okay. you finish that.
I'm looking for eloquent word use, as well as I will also be paying attention to misuse of language throughout the meeting. I encourage you all to use the word moxie for today.
Thank you, Toastmaster Shay, current president. She's taking a lot of duties tonight, so please remember to use moxie. We do have timer, Toastmaster Justin.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day. As timer, I'm responsible for monitoring time for each section of the meeting. I will operate these timing signals, so please pay attention to these. As general timer, whomever is speaking has control of the meeting. Please pay attention to these colors, as it means you need to wrap up your time as quickly as possible. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
All right. Thank you, Justin. Guess who is going to be our general evaluator? Shay again. Shay, what is your role as general evaluator?
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day.
If one thinks of a club as a project, then think of general evaluator as a quality control manager. As general evaluator, my responsibilities include ensuring the speech and leadership project evaluators know their responsibility, supervising the timer, counter, and grammarian, making sure each activity is performed correctly, and evaluating everything that takes place in the meeting. Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. Let's use our word of the day, moxie. Let's show some moxie. Is that a right way to use it?
Yes, that is.
So that our general evaluator will be proud to report how well we have done. We are going to go to the first segment of our meeting, speech, prepared speeches. We have 2 speakers and 2 evaluators. What does that mean? We are going to have a lot of table topics to go around, most of us. We are going to have fun. For speaker number 1, the evaluator is, you need to come back out again. Because you are evaluator number 1.
No, it's Sonia.
All right.
Our
Sonia.
guest.
Sonia. Our speaker number 1 is Michelle Gonzalez, and Michelle will be evaluated by none other than our guest, former Wellington Toastmaster, Sonia Zahid. Please tell us about Michelle's speech.
Point of order, sorry for this, but I was not able to access the agenda. If you can help me with this, I would really appreciate it.
Michelle, what's the title of your speech and what part are you working on?
Title of my speech, good evening, everyone. The title of my speech is Words Matter. I am pursuing the project mastery of
Presentation mastery.
presentation mastery, and I'm trying to persuade the audience today.
All right,
The purpose of this project is to practice writing and delivering a speech that inspires others.
That
yes.
She's prepared a speech that's 5 to 7 minutes for the club, with the intent of inspiring the audience.
All right, fellow Toastmasters, be prepared to be inspired. Please welcome Toastmaster Michelle Gonzalez. Words matter.
Toastmaster of the day, guests, and my fellow Toastmasters. It will give me great pleasure to introduce this topic. It is dear to my heart. Words matter. Your words matter. This is an excerpt from George Washington's 1796 farewell speech. There was a time when flowery, dense language was the standard for public speaking. Listen with me to what George Washington said, or the way he put his words. The period for a new election of a citizen to administer the executive government of the United States being not far distant, and the time actually arrived when your thoughts must be employed in designating the person who is to be clothed with that important trust. It appears to me proper, especially as it may conduce to a more distinct expression. Ladies and gentlemen, would that suffice a Toastmaster speech today? Can you just tell me in your own words what is wrong with that speech? And that is just the first sentence. Can you imagine using language like that? Anybody want to volunteer?
It's very dense. Yeah.
Dense?
The language use is very dense, unclear.
Unclear, I like that.
I'm not sure what he was trying to communicate.
Well, let me tell you, it was his farewell speech. He was asking members of society to vote. So all he needed to say was, go out and vote. It is clear, it is evident that two major problems are apparent in his speech. First, it could have been cut down at least by half, maybe 2 words, go out and vote. Even after 20 seconds I spoke, my audience, you and I, still did not know what he was speaking about. Words matter, and word use matter. Welcome again, my fellow Toastmasters. My speech today echoes the sentiments of 2 quotes. The first by Conrad Joseph. My task, which I am trying to achieve, he states, is by the power of the written word to make you hear, to make you feel, and before all, to make you see. My second reference this afternoon comes from the book of Proverbs, Proverbs 25:11. Look it up when you go home. A word fitly spoken is like apples of gold in pictures of silver. Both these quotations mean a lot to me. These 2 quotes form the basis of my discourse today. The proverb illustrates that words, when used appropriately, stand out like apples of gold in pictures of silver. Conrad's quote simply is trying to make us see or understand
Let's see if that one's-
Yeah.
The way that we use words make a story come alive. Your words matter. Capture the audience or lull them to sleep. Some into a picture that stimulate the senses, lift you high or bring you low. I want to share with you today 3 things that I do to help my curiosity and my love for words. My curiosity stemmed from a ubiquitous book called The Student's Companion. The Student's Companion was widely used in Trinidad and Tobago and throughout the Caribbean. It was written by Mr. Best, who had the world of words at your fingertip, homonyms and synonyms. We had to learn rows and rows of vocabulary for a test. Can you imagine learning all these words for a test as a child? There was no doubt in my mind that I loved homonyms and synonyms. Big words for little words. I love writing words and using them. I refer to my second quote. A word fitly spoken is like apples of gold in pictures of silver. I met a professor, I will leave his name out. I use him as my mentor. His rich vocabulary always impressed me. I found myself taking notes. I was betrothed the first time he said acquiesce. Oh my goodness, it blew my mind. I ran home. Now, we didn't have Google like now. I had to go home, get a dictionary, look for this word acquiesce. What on earth did he mean by acquiesce? Contextually, I may have been able to understand it, but do you know what the word acquiesce means?
Let me Google. Let me Google.
Okay, you'll take too long. So acquiesce means that you humbly, reluctantly approve of what was said, or it's like a word you would use when after giving a speech or somebody says something nice about you, you acquiesce. You will acquiesce if somebody's opinion is better than yours, or you decide to go with that opinion. I had never heard that word before. And it was then I decided I will keep a word list. Now, we all know a couple of people who would choose to use obscenities to express themselves, yeah? What do we normally tell them? Anybody? What do we normally tell them?
Use your words.
Use your words. Similarly, members of Toastmaster, my friends, gentlemen of this club, and gentle ladies, we have a unique opportunity to use our words at Toastmasters. What happens when we do not have words? We resort to ums and ahs. These are just mere deflectors and are much easier to cover up the lack of words in our vocabulary, rendering you and sometimes I incapable of communicating with others. On the contrary, do not become a sesquipedalian. This is someone who overuses big words. When someone gives a sesquipedalian speech, people often assume it was so smart and intellectual, even if they do not really know what the speech was about. I urge you today, when writing or creating an idea, keep it simple and thought-provoking. Once you have the idea, use words to express those ideas. Toastmasters is the place to get the practice of creating and putting speeches together. I want to submit to you that you can stand up at any time and offer words of encouragement, words that will help you or someone else by the way that you state them and the words that you use. I offer you 3 simple techniques as I close to help build confidence and avoid falling back on ums and ers. First, listen intently the way others speak. We get to practice this tool during our evaluations at Toastmasters. Notable words and phrases, using our listening skills to help identify unique ways of expressing ideas. Second, simulate these phrases or practice phrasing your words and use them on your own. Then practice, practice, practice. Hearing yourself say these phrases also aids in building your confidence. Look for these notable phrases in books, magazines, interviews. Third, you can research new words and add them to your daily dialect. A couple of days ago, I was listening to a YouTuber's interaction with a young lady, and he described her language as pejorative. Pejorative? Pejorative? I never heard this word before. I took my phone, which was my advantage. I looked up the word. I copied it and pasted it to my word list. It means contempt or disapproval. Its synonyms were disparaging and derogatory. I understood its context. It gave me more clarity to the speaker's intent. I can give you dozens of examples of these, but I would not bore you with the details. I would just like you to pay attention. The grammarian is one of the best tools we have incorporated in our Toastmasters. Our Toastmasters will help you create a cumulative list, and you can use them in upcoming speeches when appropriate. Repetition, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters, is the best teacher. In summary, I encourage each person to try these simple mechanics that I have inculcated or instilled as practice. Listen, simulate, and keep learning. You can have moxie to do your speeches. You can express yourself with confidence. Let me caution you though, the nerves will never go away, but your words will always matter. Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Michelle. Michelle, indeed, words matter. Thank you. Our time adjusting. Was Michelle within the allotted time?
Michelle was not even. Pace. Michelle has spoke for about 10 minutes and 45 seconds.
No way.
The longest 5 to 7 minute speech I've ever seen, Michelle, but I couldn't stop you. You were going. Just go with it. We got, take up speaker number 3 times. It doesn't matter. Good job, Michelle.
Michelle spoke with such moxie. She didn't see the time. All right. The next speaker is our Toastmaster, Sonia Karate, who will be evaluated by Toastmaster Susanna Tullahar. Susanna, can you please tell us about Sonia's speech and pathways? Unmute yourself, Susanna.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, I was saying, I want to thank Michelle for taking longer. It helped me to figure out my internet connection. Anyways, so Sonia's pathway tonight is innovative planning. Her pathway is innovative planning. Tonight, she's at level 2, which is understanding your leadership style. Her speech is going to be from 5 to 7 minutes. Her speech title is Leadership Lessons from Outer Space. And she would like to focus on delivery and organization tonight. Please welcome Sonia Karate.
All right.
Wellington Toastmasters, please listen carefully to this piece of music. So that was the first 30 seconds of one of my favorite pieces of music. It's majestic, awe-inspiring, and stately as it washes over you. I love this sound because it signals the beginning of one of my favorites and a cultural classic, Star Trek. Now, I'll take any series. I will take TNG, the original, but my personal favorite is Voyager, and that was the intro you just heard. Voyager had the only female captain, the wonderful Captain Janeway. What does it mean to be human? Colonization, valuing cultural differences. But a common thread throughout all of these deep philosophical discussions is leadership. Star Trek is set within a very set hierarchy, and every episode you see the captain interact with the crew on the bridge as they join together to make important choices. So what can you learn about leadership from Star Trek? Quite a lot. And articles have been published in scientific journals about this very topic. So tonight I will share with you my personal leadership style based on the Pathways questionnaire and 3 key lessons that I have learned about leadership. So first, let me share my screen with you and let's begin. I believe you can see my screen at this time. Can you give me a thumbs up if you can?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So I'll put it on the slideshow. My leadership style shows as innovative, with the highest score. So innovative leaders share a vision of the future and pursue excellence. They encourage innovative ideas and promote respect for So when you take this questionnaire, Toastmasters, you may fall within any of these categories. As you can see, I overlap on many categories such as coaching, democratic, pace setting, and bureaucratic. Now, the first lesson I'll share tonight from Star Trek leadership, diversity of opinion. This is critical, and I'll share a quote. I am pleased to see that we in real life, not when you're in outer space. Differences are key. Now in the Star Trek world, we have differences in alien races that come with their own culture and their own values that help the captain, help the leader make a choice. What's key when we're not on a starship is to surround yourself with a variety of life experiences so you can see the whole picture. Now that's not easy because that means you have to accept that the path that you walk is unique to you and your experiences based on your gender, based on your race, based on your culture are not the same thing that someone else experiences. And you may lack the imagination or the resources to understand what someone else experiences. And that's not always the easiest thing to do. So accepting diversity of opinion is the first lesson that you could learn from Star Trek. The second lesson that I learned is to communicate in their own language. And here's a quote from Star Trek. Compassion. That's the one thing no machine ever had. Maybe it's the one thing that keeps men ahead of them. So what does that mean? Communicate in their own language. Compassion, which is unique to us, to humans, is something that an effective leader uses. But the only way to successfully communicate in someone's own language is to know their own language. And how do we know their own language? We pay attention to how others respond to our message, and we adjust. That means that we listen, that means that we watch and we observe as we give our message, and we see how the audience receives the message. So in the Star Trek role, what does that mean? We have lots of examples where the captain is speaking to Klingons, and that culture means you speak aggressively with force and very loud. And there's another example where the captain is speaking to a race of people that speak in metaphors. And what does the captain do? The captain changes how they speak, stops using scientific language, stops being very specific, and goes around the bush, gives examples, but never quite directly hitting the point so that they could communicate in the way that the audience understands. Third lesson I'd like to share is to maintain a strong set of values. Maintain a strong set of values. Let me share a quote. You can use logic to justify almost anything. That's its power and its flaw, from Captain Janeway. Now, this is in response to a second in command going behind the captain's back and achieving a goal she wanted, but not in the way that she wanted, which is the old philosophy of do the ends justify the means? Now, when you're a leader, you have to lead by example and to have strong sense of honesty and integrity when you lead. That means you balance the need for efficiency and speed with accuracy. That means you always choose the high ground. And so, no matter what style of leadership you have, Toastmasters, coaching, democratic, even authoritative, I think the 3 lessons from Star Trek can apply to you. Keep a diversity of opinion, communicate in their own language, and remember to maintain a strong set of values. As I stop sharing my screen tonight, I'd like to leave you with a closing that is unique to Star Trek, which is live long and prosper. Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sonia Karate, for that wonderful speech. Mr. Timer, how did we do this time?
Toastmaster Sonia spoke for 8 minutes and 27 seconds.
That's all right. We have a lot of time tonight. No worries.
That we do. That we do.
Yes. Next is our pleasure, my pleasure, to present to you a table topics master who is none other than Toastmaster Gary Newport. Please welcome Gary.
Thank you, Toastmaster Keon, and thank you to our great speakers this evening. I know that they were both just trying to get out of speaking the table topics, but we'll give you some more opportunity to speak in a few minutes. This section of the meeting is table topics, where we have the opportunity to practice our impromptu speaking. So I will challenge each member with a subject and they will respond with a 1 to 2 minute impromptu talk. Please pay attention to the timing signals and utilize as much time as possible. Toastmaster Justin, please provide us with the timing signals for table topics this evening.
I will display the green card at 1 minute. I will display the yellow card at 1 minute 30. I will display the red card at 2 minutes, and I will clap you off like this little clapping hand in the corner at 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Back to you, Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Toastmaster Justin. I will repeat the speech topic twice and then call on a member. It is now time to get super present and focused, as I'll be calling on you after I've stated the topic. The table topics for this evening reflect the theme of the meeting, which is finding life's balance. I also encourage all members to use the word of the week, moxie. Let's proceed with table topics. And just as a heads up, you will all be participating this evening. So, what steps would you take to find balance in your life? What steps would you take to find balance in your life? Now, first speaker is going to be Toastmaster Justin. So if we can have someone doing the timing signals for Justin.
I can do it.
I might be able to manage myself here as well.
Okay.
What steps do I take to find balance in my life? So I think a big part of that is deciding first what's important to you and how that balance tips, essentially. Sorting out what your values are, what your principles are, and what things are most important to you in life. And that's where you should spend the balance of your time. And that's how you should judge how you spend that balance. I've made it a priority to try to spend as much time as I can with my family and my kids and the wife, because that's what's most important to me. I also put priorities over going to church and doing other things as well. So a balance to me is just prioritizing those things, making sure I keep that in mind, even when other priorities try to take my time, such as work. Unfortunately, sometimes I get caught up in such things and don't spend as much time with my family or my kids, but what I always try to come back to is how I can try to keep that balance and maintain those values by looking at and understanding, hey, you know what, do I have enough time? My son wants, hey, Dad, come play with me. I got to go do this, but you know what? I can do that later. And I try to find the balance in that way. Back to you, Tabletop Master.
Thank you, Toastmaster Justin. How do you know if you have a balanced life? How do you know if you have a balanced life? Toastmaster Shay.
Thank you, Toastmaster Gary. How do you know if you have a balanced life? That's a good question. As he read it, I actually began reflecting. How do you know that you have a balanced life? I would start with a story. So in the course of a week, of course, there are things that you have to do to maintain yourself, but then you have duties to your family. And if you have kids, you have duties to your kids, to your wife, and then there are the bills. So in the course of a week, I would say, if you find yourself flustered, angry, full of negative emotions, I think that's a time where maybe you need to check in, because I think that's a red flag. Someone once said to me, emotions are like the signals on the dashboard of your car. So you're driving with the steering wheel and a signal flashes, and it's to alert you that you need to take a deeper look. I think that's one great way to kind of figure out where you are and if you need more balance. To assess, pay attention to your emotions and the way that you're responding to your life. Thank you, Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Shay. What does a balanced life mean to you? What does a balanced life mean to you? Toastmaster Susanna.
balanced life to me, number one is happiness. Are you happy? Are you content with your life? Do you have a purpose in your life that you look forward to get up every day? It could be your family members, the love. It could be the job that you do, the work, the kind of work which keeps you going and makes you get out of the bed. That's happiness. And second balance would be your health. Health are you in? Are you listening to your body? Are you nourishing your body? Are you paying attention to what your body needs? Because if you don't have the health, you cannot do anything else. You might have great soul, you might have great mind, but health, it boils down to health. Are you in a healthy situation? And last but not the least, I must say wealth. Wealth doesn't buy happiness, but wealth definitely buys you comfort. So that's my take on finding balance in life, happiness, health, and wealth. Thank you. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Susanna. Describe someone who lives a balanced life. Describe someone you know who lives a balanced life. Toastmaster Sophia.
Thank you, Table Topic Master Gary. Describe someone who lives a balanced life. Right now, I usually see around people around me, my friends, my coworkers, that everybody's complaining about one thing. Oh, we have so much to do, but we don't have time. So I don't know what to do. I myself has the same complaint. And I often think, oh, I have to do this. And I'm doing one thing. Then I realize, oh my God, I was supposed to do this. I didn't even finish this. Now I started another thing. Usually the people who have young kids, I can imagine, like if they try to live a balanced life, it's kind of something next to impossible. But still, what I have learned from one of my uncles, which he taught me, he said, learn to say no. Sometimes you have to say no to few things, then only you can live your life successfully. Otherwise, if you're trying to please everybody and if you're trying to do everything, you cannot find balance in your life, and you cannot even find any, I must not say happiness, but calmness in your life. If we see nowadays, our life is like we are all running around, wake up in the morning, then the same routine, even the weekend. Sometimes we are trying to do a lot. We try to do some luxury activities over the weekend, but still at the end of the weekend, I realize I am more tired than I usually do it during the routine. So again, so that's what I'm saying. I think we all learn to say at some point, not always, but at some point, to no to few things to keep the balance in our life. Thank you, Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sophia. Your uncle sounds like a very wise man. What is preventing you from finding life's balance? What is preventing you from finding life's balance? Toastmaster Sonia.
Thank you, Table Topics Master. What a deep philosophical question. What is preventing me from finding life's balance? Well, I might have to say nothing. Nothing is preventing me from finding life's balance. That is a choice that we must make every day. So finding balance, I believe, is a day-by-day choice, and we have to choose it for ourselves. As Toastmaster Sophia wisely shared, we have to choose to say no sometimes, and sometimes we can choose to embrace a choice and say yes. But that is how I believe we will find balance. And how you find it is over time, honing when and how you should say no, and what's the appropriate place that you should say no. Sometimes it's no to work, sometimes it's no to family, and that's okay, and accepting that choice. And so nothing's holding me back, and I look forward to practicing my balance, similar to on the balance beam of the Olympics, balancing my life. Thank you, Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sonia. Toastmaster Michelle is not with us, so our last topic is, why is finding life's balance important to you? Why is finding life's balance important to you? And I saved this topic for our Toastmaster who came up with a theme. Toastmaster Dion Green.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. This afternoon, I went to an eye doctor to get my eyes checked. I had some trouble with my right eye. The doctor, who I know very well, was way more compassionate with me. He kept asking me about me, what I did, how my children were doing. So I thought, this is odd. He's a very busy man, and patients are waiting outside in the waiting room. He showed me, as I was getting up to leave, a little heart monitor on his chest. He said he had a major medical scare just a few days ago. Why is finding balance important to me? Finding balance in my life helps me connect with others in a deeper level. Nothing else matters. Yes, everything else in our life is here to support us to have a better life, comfortable life. But at the end of the day, what matters to me the most is the people around me and the connections I make with them. In that sense, finding balance definitely serve that purpose. Mr. Toastmaster, Madam, Mr.
Thank you, Toastmaster Dion. That's very important, and I think that's something that we all need to be reminded of on a regular basis, because we often lose track of that and lose track of what's really important in life. Toastmaster Michelle has joined us just in time for her table topics. So we'll have one more table topic. What advice do you have for your younger self about finding life's balance? What advice do you have for your younger self about finding life's balance? Toastmaster Michelle.
Thank you so much. I do apologize. The internet broke down, so I was off for a little while. My younger self, dear Michelle, don't you know that nobody is chasing you? Michelle, don't you know that nobody expects anything from you but you? Michelle, do not chase what other people seem to suggest is what you should chase. Michelle, take time to rest. Take time to relax. I would just have that conversation with Michelle 20 or 30 years ago. I would be like 26, yeah? I would tell Michelle, finding balance is important. Home, work, school, because today I reverence balance. Today I understand that making time for, or carving out time, I should say, for this is better than the hustle. The hustle, everybody's after something. But today I have learned that I should just have balance. An equal portion of my life can be used for everything and not go after what everybody else is doing. That's my conversation I would have with Michelle, the younger one, the more prettier one.
Thank you, Toastmaster Michelle. Glad you joined just in time for table topics. Timer, could we please have a timer's report on the table topics this evening?
Table Topics Master, all tabletop participants were within time.
Thank you, Toastmaster Justin. We'll now hand the meeting back to Toastmaster of the Day, Toastmaster Hyun Green.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Table Topics Master Gary. Next portion, the last portion of our meeting is evaluation portion. And it's my pleasure to present to you our President and Madam General Evaluator, Shay. Please welcome Shay.
Thank you. So this is the evaluation portion of the meeting where I get to give feedback to the club and also call up our evaluators. Thank you, Toastmaster Hyun. And may I please have the timers report for, well, actually that's been called. Timer, please demonstrate the timing signals for speech evaluations, which are 2 to 3 minutes each.
Yes, of course, General Evaluator. The green card will be shown at 2 minutes, the yellow card at 2.5, and the red card at 3 minutes. And then we'll clap you off with a little clapping sign in the corner there at 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you. First, we have evaluating Toastmaster Michelle. We have Toastmaster Sobia Zahid.
Thank you, Toastmaster Shay. So good evening, fellow Toastmasters, once again, respected President and Toastmaster Michelle. I must say that it's an honor for me to evaluate your speech today. I was a previous member here. I pretty much know everybody, but this is my first time listening to you. It was an honor, honestly. First of all, I must say that I am impressed with your speech, Maxie. Your speech was well aligned with your topic or speech title, Words Matter. It was easily relatable to me, and I'm sure with the audience as well. I admire your enthusiasm. You were really involved in your topic. And you started your speech with a George Washington quote, which I was even wondering, what is she talking about? Maybe I am the only one who's not understanding, but then in a blink of a second, you explained like what it is, what are you talking about? So I was not alone. You even paused when you asked the question and called on members to involve them. And this was the one best thing I like about your speech. You kept us all involved on the edge of our seats, like keep on asking questions and then waiting on people to answer your question. A very good use of hand gesture. And you quoted a personal experience with your professor using an unfamiliar word which you were not aware of, acquisize. And then showing your curiosity. I love your facial expression at that time. I can feel that how you felt at that time, how you showed like you were looking for you couldn't wait to go home and look up for the word. Your vocal variety, of course, is excellent. And then you used, 3 points. That is something that kept us like, okay, these are the 3 points. And then you summarize those 2 points that we all can write down, note, and then we can work on. And now just 2 things that, might take you to the next level of your speech excellence. And that is one good thing I must say, that your internet connection was unstable, but you kept the flow of your speech. Every time you were back, you were like continuously talking. I was never lost anywhere. So the 2 things I was mentioning, that whenever you're preparing a speech, make sure that you rehearse a little bit. You do not need the rehearsal, but you prepare the speech within the time. As one of my communication teachers said, that if you get a 4 minutes in front of the board meeting, 4 minutes, you have to persuade your board members in 4 minutes or you lost everything. So remember, it has to be 3 minutes and 59 seconds, but not over. So this is one thing which I noticed, but you were so enthusiastic. So we didn't even realize it was over time. And the second thing which I noticed, it was a little too much information overload, which I think you started with the George Washington quote, then you provide 2 references. I was writing this. I was a little bit too much involved in that. But at the end, I must admit how you give us 3 points and then summarize those 3 points. That was the excellent part of your speech. So these are just the 2 little things that can help you to move forward. Thank you. Toastmasters.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sylvia, for giving such a thorough evaluation of Michelle, so many highlights, and then also very effective and encouraging feedback to move forward. I think they could be applied instantaneously. Thank you very much. And we, of course, always love having you. Love to see you more. Next, I'd like to call on Toastmaster Sujana evaluating Sonia. Thank you.
Thank you, General Evaluator. So, Toastmaster Sonia, I might be one of the very few people who did not grow up watching Star Trek. The minute I knew it was about Star Trek, I was a little intimidated because I don't have much context behind it to evaluate. But as your speech progressed, I found myself relating to lessons that you shared so clearly and precisely. The number one lesson was diversity of opinion. In today's world, everybody can relate to that. Where are we not having diversity of opinion, whether it's health, whether it's religion and whatnot? So that was great. Second was communication in your own language. Again, very relatable. And the third one is equally powerful, maintain a strong set of values. So I did not know Star Trek, but these morals were very valuable and I could understand. And you used some of the very good tools. The first one was music of your favorite song, favorite music for 30 seconds. That was awesome. You used the second tool, which is the PowerPoint, especially when we are having some internet problem. It was very helpful. I was taking screenshots so that I can go back to it later. So that very helpful tonight to evaluate you. And on the other hand, some of the areas of improvement is you shared for every lessons, you had a great quote, but I felt I wanted to hear Sonia's story in those quotes. The quotes were very powerful, but I wanted to hear your story, your experience related to that quote. I would have done that differently. That is the downside. That is the only areas of improvement, but overall, it was a really great speech. And you even came back after you talked about the lesson, the content, you came back and gave us the summary. In that summary, you reiterated again the lesson remaining. So that was really good. Keep up the good work, Sonia. Looking forward to much more speeches from you. Thank you.
Thank you, Evaluator Sujana. It takes such moxie to lean in and be attentive when you're going through so many technical issues on your own end. But all of your feedback was very poignant and also immediately applicable. I like how you even use your technical skills to screenshot and be able to support your speaker. So I just want to highlight you for that and highlight many of you who went through some technical issues. It takes great moxie to lean in and still give your very best. Let's move on to the rest of our evaluations for today. Actually, it's voting time.
Yes.
So I don't know that our polls are ready. Are they ready? Okay, so I'll call on Gary to go ahead and launch our polls for today. Thank you, Toastmaster Gary, for taking the polls for us. Now let's go on to the meat of our evaluation, the rest of our roles for tonight. I'd like to call on our counter to give us a snapshot of our fillers for tonight.
Sylvia?
Sylvia, yes, that is you, Sylvia, you're on.
Yes. So I must say that Wellington Toastmaster Clubs is excellent while not using a lot of us and ums. So today I was trying to do two things I didn't hear much, but Toastmaster Hyan, Sonia, Toastmaster Gary, and Toastmaster Shay, you only use one repeat, which I thought it's just the one thing. So all of these members didn't use any odds or ums or so's. I didn't hear any. So excellent job. Toastmaster Sylvia, I use a lot of so's. I noted down quite 4 so's and 2 odds. Toastmaster Justin, I just hear in your table topics 2 so's and 1 and then who else? Toastmaster Michelle, I just hear 3 repeats in your speech. 3 times you started the sentence and repeated the same words in the beginning. Other than that, it's excellent. Everyone was very good. Toastmaster Susanna, yes, you didn't use any odds or ums or anything. So that was my report for tonight.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sylvia. I think for the most part, we can give ourselves a pat on the back.
Yes, definitely.
Because that is not our norm. But let's make that our norm. I'd like to also call on our
Grammarian and word master.
grammarian and word master, which is me. So we've used our word of the week a total of 7 times for tonight. Moxie. I would like to highlight, so there was a lot of language use that I enjoyed. I didn't catch very many grammatical issues, not for the lack of them, because I did hear some things that were off. It's just, there's so many things going on, but I'd like to highlight the positives. The use the power of words to make you hear and make you see. Your nerves may never go away, but your words will always matter. Toastmaster will help you make an accumulative word list, accepting diversity of opinion, communicate in their own language. And to communicate in their own language, they need to know their own language. Overall, I think our meeting, is there something I'm missing? My sheet is incomplete, but overall, I think our meeting was of really great quality. We ran into some technical issues that I think interrupted the flow of some speeches tonight, and that also affected time. So I was not really sure how, we would compensate for that in keeping of time unless we paused and then they came back in. I would also like to say that I love the flexibility that I saw and trying to fill in and support one another throughout the meeting, as having the hybrid experience, it puts a lot more work on the club as a whole. So I also want to give Gary a shout out, because now being in person, I can feel the pressure of doing everything virtually and hybrid. And so I just want to say thank you to you, and also thank you to Ray, because I get a piece of what it feels like. So let's just pause for a moment and give Gary and Ray a hand clap. So I would also like to acknowledge Sophia for stepping in to support our club tonight, and not only stepping in as an evaluator, but taking on a second role. And lastly, let's give her hand clap. And lastly, but not least, acknowledge our Toastmaster of the day and dignitary, Hyan Green, for leading us beautifully as always. And I'm always in awe to see the way she beautifully wraps up her table topics. They just flow so smoothly. She has like stories in her pockets for days. So let's give her a hand clap. And I would like to call her back to the podium.
Thank you, Shay, Madam General Evaluator. It was a wonderful meeting. Thanks to you. When I saw a rather small number at 6:55, I thought, oh, how are we going to manage this meeting? Look, we did great. Fantastic. Thank you, everyone. Do we have the results? All right. Okay, I'm going to ask Gary to announce the winners. Gary, please.
Well, we've got our results in, and we'll start with table topics. Let's give a big round of applause to Toastmaster Hyun Green for first place table topics for this evening. As both our speakers went over time, there was no vote for our speakers, but we can give them both a hand for a great job. And last but not least, right, first place evaluator this evening, let's give a round of applause to Toastmaster Susanna Tuladar. Back to you, Toastmaster here.
All right. Thank you, Gary. Meeting is coming to a close. I believe I have to do Toastmaster of the evening again next week, according to the practice we have in Wellington. But I do need 3 speakers. If not 3, at least 2 speakers, please. So please go to the website and sign up as soon as you can. And I must tell you, Wellington Toastmasters Club is one of the few clubs that are meeting hybrid. So you all should be very proud of Wellington. Madam President, is the meeting closed? Do you want to come and close the meeting?
Yes, I'll bring it to a close. Let's put our hands together again for Madam Hyun Green, Toastmaster of the Day. Just encouraging you guys to invite guests, to be invitational, because we want to get our numbers back up. I know it's the summer, but the summer is starting to come to an end as we are now in August. So let's get on it, guys.
Yes.
Just thanking you again for leaning in with enthusiasm and just your energy and dedication to the welfare of our club. Just now call this meeting to an end.